Today we're going to practice reading again. Last week we had pretty much the same situation. We had a selection with, I think, 7 paragraphs and then 10 questions to answer. And the whole thing was supposed to be done in 20 minutes. And we didn't get there. We read it out loud, which I think was the first problem. So today, I'm going to ask you to read the text in 7 minutes. And that will give us 13 minutes to go through the questions. And
hello, Professor.
Hello, Kazi. Good to see you. So this is going to be really tight. And I'll tell you when the 7 minutes are up and we'll go on to the questions. Okay? So read quickly. Just read and don't worry about anything. It's all kind of new information. And it's about the Paleozoic, the Mesozoic, and the Cenozoic era, and what happened to the dinosaurs, which, you know, is an interesting question that we don't really know the answer to, but it gives you some ideas. And the questions will go over the ideas. It's going to be important when you take the test to be able to read the passage and answer all 10 questions. So when you're in the questions, we'll talk about it. But reading silently and just, you know, reading, I think, kind of calmly and understanding what you understand and not worrying about what you didn't understand is important. In other words, the whole mindset of taking the test is you just got to be calm and do what they tell you and manage your time so that you actually get to the end and you answer all the questions that you can answer. Okay, so directions. Read the passage. Give yourself 20 minutes to complete this practice set. And it's about the extinction of the dinosaurs. And paragraph 1, paragraph 2, paragraph 3, paragraph 4, 5, 6. There's 6 paragraphs. And then there's 10 questions, I believe. 9 and 10. Yes. And then we'll go over what the answers were. So, okay. So now you see it's a lot of stuff to cover in 20 minutes total. And the important thing is in the test is that you get to the end of the questions and you're able to answer all the questions that you can answer. And the other things we learned last week in the reading practice that we did last week was that every question tells us what paragraph it's answered in. So if we, first thing to do is to go through and quickly answer whatever questions we can answer without looking it up. And then we go back to the paragraphs, and there is a sentence in the paragraph they tell you that actually clearly answers the question. You don't have to, you know, you don't have to wonder. You can go find it. So you need to know that. that you go to the paragraph and look for the sentence that answers the question. Okay? So those are things to know about the test that will help everybody to get the best score they can. So part of getting the right score is what your reading skill is. What do you understand when you read through quietly? And the second thing is, how well do you know how to manage your time? So I'm timing you for 7 minutes for reading, and just read as smoothly and, as you can. And when that's over, then we're going to time you for 13 minutes to answer the questions. Okay? So I just pressed start. Start the timer again, and I'm going to scroll down. So we're not going back right now. We're just going through the questions. And I want you to answer the questions that you can figure out from what you read. Okay? Mark your answers on a piece of paper. Mark the letter. Okay, so we have 7 minutes left out of the 15. We've used half of the remaining time, and I've scrolled through all the questions. So the best way to use the remaining time is to go back to questions that we didn't answer and see if we can figure out quickly what the right answers are. So did everybody answer one? Yes or no? Do you have an answer for one? For question one?
Yes, Professor. I
Okay,
have.
okay. Kareem, what do you have, Kazi?
Yes, ma'am.
What, okay. What letter did you guys put? Actually, we really shouldn't do that now. Let's just go through. Does everybody have an answer for 2?
Professor, I can't read out the number 2, but I have read out the number 1 and 3, 4 and others.
Well, did you answer 2?
No.
Okay, so let's look at 2. The question is, why does the author mention the survival of snakes, lizards, turtles, and crocodiles, the other cold-blooded animals, in paragraph 3? So the 4 possibilities to argue that dinosaurs may have become extinct because they were not cold-blooded animals. Does that make sense? Did they talk about dinosaurs being warm-blooded?
No, Professor,
No.
it will not
So
be.
that's not the answer. To question the adequacy of the hypothesis that climate change related to sea levels caused the extinction of the dinosaurs. Is that why they mentioned? Possibly. How about C? To present examples.
Professor, I think that to question the adequacy of the hypothesis that climatic change, no, it is not mentioned in the paragraph.
Right. So, well, it is actually. Let's go back. Paragraph 3. If true, why did cold-blooded animals such as snakes, turtles, lizards, and crocodiles survive the freezing winters and torrid summers? So the question is asked. These animals are at the mercy of the climate to maintain a livable body temperature. It's hard to understand why they would not be affected, whereas dinosaurs were left too crippled to cope, especially if, as some scientists believe, dinosaurs were warm-blooded. So they did talk about dinosaurs being warm-blooded. Critics also point out that the shallow seaways had retreated from and advanced on the climate continents numerous times during the Mesozoic. So why did the dinosaurs survive the climate changes associated with the earlier fluctuations, but not with this one? Although initially appealing, the hypothesis of simple climate change related to sea levels is insufficient to explain all the data. So, question 2, why does the author mention the survival of snakes, lizards, turtles, and crocodiles? It was the last sentence that answers this question.
Professor, I think the answer will be to support a hypothesis that these animals were not as sensitive to climate changes in the Cretaceous period as they are today.
Okay. Did they talk about that?
No, sorry, Professor. I think that to present examples of animals that could maintain a livable body temperature more easily than dinosaurs.
So what does it mean to be cold-blooded and warm-blooded?
Cold-blooded means, Professor, it means that those types of animals, so it means that it's reptile. It's
Yeah.
called in,
And
it's reptile.
what distinguishes reptiles from mammals or birds?
Mammals used to suck the milk of their mother.
Yeah.
So there
What
got the
about the
mammals.
what about the body temperature?
The body temperature means about the temperature of the current temperature, or the what
Okay.
is the temperature of the body or anything.
Yeah. So the difference, the main difference, besides the milk, between mammals, warm-blooded animals, which include birds and mammals, and cold-blooded animals, is that warm-blooded animals maintain the same body temperature all the time, and cold-blooded animals depend on the sun and water to keep their body temperature approximately the same. So the body temperature was really the thing that, was the question. And what do you need to do to maintain your body temperature the same all the time? You need to eat enough. You need to have enough energy that you've eaten to keep your body temperature the same. So the correct answer here is to question the adequacy of the hypothesis that climate change related to sea levels caused the extinction of the dinosaurs. Because A, many dinosaurs were probably warm-blooded, and B, all the cold-blooded animals survived. Why didn't the dinosaurs? Okay, according to paragraph 3, same paragraph, which of the following is true of changes in climate before the Cretaceous period and the effect of these changes on dinosaurs? Did you have an answer for that question? Anybody? Yes? No? Did you have an answer? Abu? Or Karim? Did you have an answer?
I think, ma'am, letter D is
Say that again?
period and dinosaurs. Before
Which of the following? Is it
the
A, B, C, or D?
Cretaceous period, there was flood.
You cut
D.
out
D.
D, right. That's correct. Okay, question 4. Did you have an answer?
Yes,
Okay, what was the answer?
I think this is letter D, variations.
That's correct.
Yes,
Letter
professor,
D,
it will be
variations.
variations.
Huh? What?
It will be variations.
Yes, variations. I wasn't able to remember question 5. I planned to go back and read paragraph 4 because I didn't have an answer. Did somebody have an answer? Anybody?
Sir, I think number 5 will be the answer is C. Fossils from the Cretaceous period of the Mesozoic up to the beginning of the Cenozoic era have been removed from the layers of rock that surrounded them.
I don't remember that they talked about anybody removing fossils. I don't think that's correct, but we'll go back and look. But let's look at 6 before we do. Did you have an answer for 6?
I think this is a letter D.
Letter
Yes, Professor. Why were the scientists interested in determining how long it took to deposit the layer of clay at the end of the Cretaceous?
Okay. Okay, so we're going to find that answer as well as the answer to 5, to question 5, when we go back and look at paragraph 4 again. Okay, dissatisfaction with conventional explanations for dinosaur extinctions led to a surprising observation that in turn suggested a new hypothesis. Many plants and animals disappear abruptly from the fossil record as one moves from layers of rock documenting the end of the Cretaceous up into rocks representing the beginning of the Cenozoic area. Between the last layer of Cretaceous rock and the first layer of Cenozoic rock, there is often a thin layer of clay. Scientists felt that they could get an idea of how long the extinctions took by determining how long it took to deposit this 1 centimeter of clay. And they thought they could determine the time it took to deposit the clay by determining the amount of the element iridium it contained. Okay, so let's look at question 5. The fossil record suggests that there was an abrupt extinction of many plants and animals at the end of the Mesozoic era. They definitely said that, right?
Professor, I think that number B is the answer. Few fossils of the Mesozoic era have survived in the rocks that mark the end of the Cretaceous.
Well, that's possibly also true. Disappear. Animals and plants disappear abruptly from the fossil record. Okay. I took that to mean that a lot of animals that had existed all of a sudden didn't. Let's look down at the answers. So 5 is A. That's the correct answer. And 6 is A, which is not the answer that I gave. So let's look at 5 and 6. Okay, the fossil record suggests that there was an abrupt extinction of many plants and animals at the end of the Mesozoic era. Yes, when I went back and reread it, they did say that. And 6 is also A. In paragraph 4, all the following questions are answered, except why is there a layer of clay between the rocks of the Cretaceous and the Cenozoic? So scientists were interested in determining how long it took to deposit the layer of clay, to figure out, how long the period was that the extinctions took place, the disappearances. And the surprising observation that they made, let's see, what was the effect? So the observation was that many plants and animals became extinct at that time. That's what it says. And there's something about the clay. The effect of the surprising observation scientists made was that they started to study the clay. And why did they want more information about dinosaur extinctions at the end of the Cretaceous? To figure out what happened, why they got extinct, because they weren't satisfied anymore with the climate explanation. So the best answer is A. Okay, 7. Paragraph 5 implies that a special explanation of the iridium in the boundary clay is needed because, did you have an answer for that? Anybody? The iridium in microscopic meteorites reaching Earth during the Cretaceous period.
Professor, I think the answer is C.
C, the concentration of iridium in the boundary clay is higher than in microscopic meteorites. That's true. And I think D is also true. The amount of iridium in the boundary clay is too great to have come from meteorites during the time the boundary clay was deposited. Okay. No, it didn't say that the concentration of iridium in the boundary clay is higher than in meteorites. What it said was the concentration of iridium in the boundary clay is higher than would be explained by the rate of meteorites that continues now in the world. So D is actually, I think, a better answer. Let's go look. This is question 7, and it is D.
Yes.
And 8, the word disruption in the passage is closest in meaning to which answer?
Letter B, disturbance.
B. Correct.
Disturbance.
Yes. Okay. I found questions 9 and 10 challenging. In paragraph 5 of the passage, there is a missing sentence. The paragraph is repeated below. Great. So we didn't have to go back and reread it. And shows 4 letters, A, B, C, and D, that indicate where the following sentence could be added. And the sentence that is missing is consequently, in other words, therefore, as a result of this information. The idea that the iridium in the boundary clay came from microscopic meteorites cannot be accepted. So let's start with the words even today. Even today, microscopic meteorites continually bombard Earth, falling on both land and sea. By measuring how many of these meteorites fall to Earth over a given period of time, scientists can estimate how long it might have taken to deposit the observed amount of iridium in the boundary clay. Can we put a sentence beginning with therefore? There. That's the first place. I don't think they've said enough there.
You can,
So what we're trying to find is where have they said enough so that we know there has to be an alternative explanation. These calculations suggest that a period of about 1 million years would have been required. However, other reliable evidence suggests that the deposition of the boundary clay could not have taken 1 million years. And the correct place to put this sentence is position C. Consequently, the idea that the iridium in the boundary clay came from microscopic meteorites cannot be accepted because we know that meteorites wouldn't have created that much iridium in 1 million years. So the unusually high concentration of iridium seems to require a special explanation. And the correct answer is C. And finally, question 10. This was, I found, a really challenging question, and I looked up the right answers. I didn't get them all. An introductory sentence for a brief summary of the passage is provided below. Complete the summary by selecting the 3 answer choices that express the most important ideas, and that's very important. Not all the ideas, but the most important ideas in the passage. Some sentences do not belong in the summary because they express ideas that aren't presented in the passage or are minor ideas in the passage. And this question is worth 2 points, which means ideally you could allow, if you have the time, because it's the 10th question, more time to this question. So the summary sentence, the introductory sentence is, for a long time, scientists have argued that the extinction of the dinosaurs was related to climate change. And we need to find 3 other sentences that could introduce paragraphs. Extreme changes in the daily and seasonal climate preceded the retreat of the seas back into the major ocean basins. Was that said anyplace in the passage? Yes or no? Extreme changes in daily and seasonal climate. Were there extreme changes before the seas went back into the ocean basins? What was the climate like during the time of the dinosaurs?
No, ma'am, I think.
What was it like?
Professor, can I
It was
say?
more mild.
It was more
milder than
mild.
today.
Yes, it sounded wonderful. I would have loved to live in that climate. Wow. So extreme changes.
I
in
think, Professor,
climates.
it was kind of prehistorical era during that time.
Say that again.
Prehistorical era.
But that's not about extreme changes. So, they didn't say that. So that one doesn't belong. B, a simple climate change doesn't explain some important data related to the extinction of the dinosaurs at the end of the Cretaceous. Was that an idea that got developed in this passage? Yes or no? With these multiple choice questions, you're always asking yourself yes or no.
Professor, I think there are some too much answers of this question.
That's right.
It will be B, C, D, E.
Right. So we know it's not A. So we still have 3 to choose. So that means since there's 5, we're going to have to eliminate 2 more. So simple climate change doesn't explain everything about that period. The retreat of the seaways at the end of the Cretaceous has not been fully explained. They did say that, but was it an important point? Did it need to be explained? D, the abruptness of extinctions at the end of the Cretaceous and the high concentration of iridium found in clay deposited at that time have fueled the development of a new hypothesis. Was that idea developed? Did they talk about that?
Yes, I think they
Yes,
talked about
yes,
this.
Professor.
Yes, they did. So that's going to be one.
They did.
So that's one correct answer.
Number
And
D, Professor, number D.
yes, that's one correct answer. E, some scientists hypothesize that the extinction of the dinosaurs resulted from the effects of an asteroid collision with Earth. Was that in the passage?
Professor, I think no.
That is one
I
of the
think it
correct
was.
answers. That is one of the correct answers. And the last
Yeah,
one,
it was. Yeah.
boundary clay layers, like the one between the Mesozoic and Cenozoic, are used by scientists to determine the rate at which an extinct species declined. Did they talk about that? Did they talk about the rate
I
at
think
which they
no.
went down? They didn't.
No,
That's
Professor.
correct.
Boundary
we've
clay,
got-
no. They do not talk about this this topic, but they talk about the before topic. Some scientists hypothesize that the extinction of the dinosaurs resulted from the effects of an asteroid collision with Earth.
Extinction of the dinosaurs, what?
Of the dinosaur resulted from the effects of an asteroid collision with Earth.
Yes, and that is one of the correct answers. But there's one that we missed, obviously, because we've gotten to the bottom. So go back to ABC. Which one of those did they
Number
actually?
C, Professor, not AB, it will be C. That retreat of the seaways at the end of the Cretaceous has not been fully explained.
They kind of implied that, but was that one of the main points?
No. It was not the main point. The main point will be that a simple climate change does not explain some important data related to the extinction of the dinosaurs at the end of the Cretaceous.
Correct. That is the third correct answer. So B, D, and E. And there you have it. So we had 7 minutes left. I didn't time this last process, but we would have gone over. So we did well up until when we needed to go back and figure out the answers. So basically what this experience showed me is that it's important to practice reading stuff every day. You know, read something. Go to the Smithsonian magazine, for instance, and read an article and summarize it. Write 4 sentences that talk about the whole article, that identify the main points. Go to the Guardian newspaper and read an opinion piece and do the same thing.
Nancy
Go
Chu,
to,
Jonathan Ernest, or one
I'm getting a call that I can't answer. You know, go to a publication that's in English, that's well known, and read an article every day. Practice
Professor,
reading for understanding and speed.